Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for hopping onto the webinar. We're going to get started in just a minute, inshallah. And today is all about nutrition and a recap of fitness and sleep. So really excited that you're here, alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum, Gina, from the States, mashallah. I'm originally from Canada, living in Australia right now, though. Assalamu alaikum, Hanifa. Thank you for joining us. All right, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Super excited today to continue talking about health and fitness and go more in depth in terms of our nutrition. So for those of you guys who were here last time, I'd love to do a really quick recap in quiz style format. You guys remember last time we talked about why health and fitness in Ramadan is so important. And I always like showing these two little pictures for a little example and case study of how health and neglecting your health in Ramadan can become a little bit, starting to affect your spiritual abilities. So on the left, I call this unfortunate brother. I can't stand for Isha Ismail. And so he's, going through Ramadan, he's eating so much food that when he gets to Tarawih, he's shifting from one foot to the other. He's super uncomfortable. And he's not only distracting himself, but he's distracting everyone around him. So that food can detract from your Ramadan experience when not placed in its right position. And then we have Make It to Maghrib Maryam. And on the other hand, she is so focused on eating as little as possible throughout Ramadan and, trying to lose weight in Ramadan that she, maybe skips suhoor, doesn't really eat properly at iftar. And so she's so hungry in the day, her stomach's growling. And then the rest of the day, she's just thinking about how long till iftar, how long till iftar, how long till iftar. So she's also not putting food in its proper position. So these are both examples of how your food can really impact your experience during the fast. So I wanted to remind you guys that it's not about having time for your health, because in Ramadan, we're making these choices anyway. You're going to be eating suhoor, hopefully, inshallah. You're going to be eating iftar. And so these are opportunities for us to just make better choices. So last webinar, we talked about sleep. We also really started going into the fitness component. So I want to just elaborate a little bit more on the fitness section, and then we're going to hop into the healthy eating section, inshallah. Briefly, I would love to do this little recap. So I'm going to ask you guys some questions, inshallah, and see if you can remember what we covered from last time. Okay, so first question is, who remembers what the term is called when you are not getting enough sleep and that's adding up in Ramadan? What is that called? Someone remind me if you can remember. Let's see. Hanifa says sleep deprivation. Okay, so sleep deprivation is when you don't get enough sleep. Fatima got it right. It's sleep debt. Correct. All right, so that was filling in your sleep debt. And I really wanted to remind you guys to be repaying those sleep debts on a regular basis through napping, through, some really great strategies. And who remembers what is the maximum, like your sleep bankruptcy? How many hours can you go up until you have gone sleep bankrupt? Someone remind me. Let's see, Fatima, do you remember? 20 hours. Hanifa got it. Mashallah. Great job, guys. Okay, so we know that that's kind of a really great way to keep in mind that you can't just let your sleep debt run on, and just go through Ramadan powering on low sleep. You will experience that impacting your cognitive function, your memory, your irritability. And obviously, we know that our bodies are a responsibility, they're a trust. And so it's our job to keep an eye on your sleep. We said that concept of sleep journaling is a great way to just have an eye on how sleep deprived are you getting? How much is your sleep debt mounting as you go through Ramadan? So some great strategies there. And of course, ways to repay the sleep debt, power naps, adding 15 minutes, by going to sleep earlier. And, maybe having a little bit of sleep in on the weekend. And so, Brother Muhammad Faris, I wanted to ask, because I know that you always talk about scheduling consistency and waking up at a similar time every day. How do you think, we can kind of balance that between getting some opportunities to repay your sleep debt, maybe on the weekends, versus still keeping that consistency?
Good question. So I guess for my part, depends. If you're able to pay off your sleep debt during the week, that's probably ideal. So that way you're able to maintain a consistency. But if you're not able to pay off your sleep debt during the week, then I guess the weekend is the time for you to repay that. Having said that, I always encourage people to try to maybe delay repaying the sleep debt to like around nap time, so that instead of sleeping in after Fajr, which is the most blessed time, there's so much barakah in the early hours. I'd say make the most of the early hours, get that barakah in the early hours, do something important in the early hours, either whether it's something personal or something social or with the family. And then when you close to nap time, you're able to like knock out between Dhuhr and Asr if you want to get those sleep debts in. But if you're able to pay during the day, it's even better. But in the weekend, I would guess if you're not able to do the weekend, but delayed so that you don't mess up in the early hours, the barakah of the early hours.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And that really speaks to the fact that even the naps, they're better in that earlier part of the day. So I think that's super practical. Thank you for adding that, mashallah. You repaying your sleep debt, thinking about not going into sleep bankruptcy, great ways to make sure that you're maintaining that sleep and prioritizing sleep in Ramadan. All right, so great job, guys, with remembering what we talked about in sleep. That can make a really big difference in how you go through your Ramadan. Then I wanted to just kind of add some more onto our discussion of movement in Ramadan. We talked last time about how it's super, super important, how a lot of Muslims, they think that it's important, but they're not able to make exercise happen. We talked about what happens when you stop exercising and how there's so many negative effects that happen. And so we want to maintain movement in Ramadan. And so for some people, that might look like maintaining neat movement, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, increasing your number of steps, getting to that 10, 15,000 steps a day. For others, that might look like, putting in a short 20-minute workout at a few timings in Ramadan. So I just want to make sure that you're picking one or the other, okay? Like really staying sedentary is not an option if you want to have a productive, high energy Ramadan. You just won't feel that level of energy that you need to accomplish what you got to do. So even if you're not exercising, make sure you are keeping your neat movement up throughout the day. If you are thinking about prioritizing your workouts, that's when we do have to just consider some specifics in Ramadan. Dehydration is the major, major concern. And that's why, we want to really time our workouts at a really great opportunity. We said that workout timing, number 3 and 4 are the safest. So that's that opportunity where, you'll break your fast, you'll go and work out, and then maybe you'll come back, or maybe exercise 1 to 2 hours after your iftar. So those are definitely the safest. These are non-fasted opportunities to exercise. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, but if I go exercise right after breaking my fast, my family will keep eating without me. And wouldn't it be amazing if your whole family took this little movement break? That would just be a wonderful opportunity to bond with the family. And then you wouldn't be missing out anything because everyone would just break their fast, pray maghrib, and then go, move around for 20 minutes. I can just picture it now. Like, your mom and your dad, maybe if they're older, they could maybe be walking around the house. And then, if you are feeling more energetic, you could be doing like some really nice, maybe a high intensity workout. Maybe the kids are running around, and then you all come back and enjoy that nice iftar meal together. How beautiful would that be? That would be great. But I understand that not everyone has kind of the entire support of their whole clan behind them, in which case you want to be thinking around the iftar time, 1 hour before iftar is a viable option, but you have to be really, really responsible about that because you are dehydrated, right? So you're in that situation where you could be feeling dizzy, or you could, feel lightheaded. And if you feel even the slightest inclination towards that, you need to really pause your workout and stop. Also, hydrating aggressively in non-fasting hours is the best way to make sure that that is able to be performed safely. With that said, so many Muslims around the world exercise at that timing and conduct it safely. So as long as you're really responsible about that, definitely you should have no problems. I know that there's a lot more kind of questions about, workout timings. And so I just want to remind you guys that at RamadanReset.com, we have full articles on what pros and cons of each workout timing. We have, schedules for you guys to follow, really in-depth content on sleep as well. So I just kind of wanted to play you guys a short video to remind you guys that you can take advantage of this Ramadan Reset resource, inshallah.
Every sport has its playoffs. Ramadan is playoff season for the believer. The best players recognize that reaching their goals can only come from a mind that is focused and a body that is energized. Players maintain peak performance by optimizing their focus, energy, and strength. For Muslims fasting in Ramadan, the prizes to be won are far more precious than any championship trophy. It's a season of immense blessings where prayers are answered, deeds are multiplied, and the gates of paradise are open for those who seek it. But the hours and days are limited. You need to treat yourself with even more vigilance than athletes during playoff time. You need to fuel your body and hydrate effectively so you can maintain concentration in both work and worship during long fasting days, and avoid the negative effects of a sedentary lifestyle. You need to sleep properly to recharge and complete night prayers with concentration. You need to focus on your body so you can focus on your soul. Introducing RamadanReset.com from Aminah Fitness, the most comprehensive free online resource to help you master your nutrition, fitness, sleep, and health while fasting. We've brought together medical, nutrition, fitness, and health psychology experts to provide Ramadan health and fitness guidance like never before. Learn how fasting affects every part of your body. Discover fasting fitness schedules to help you exercise safely in Ramadan for all fitness levels. Get a blueprint for your suhoor and iftar to enjoy all your favorite ethnic dishes in a way that fuels your body to minimize hunger and maximize energy while fasting. With healthy makeovers for popular traditional ethnic recipes and practical tips to feel your best while fasting, your healthy Ramadan journey has never been easier. Enjoy your food this Ramadan guilt-free, knowing that you are fueling your body and soul. Everyone's health challenges are unique in Ramadan, and we're here to help. Learn how to manage and control caffeine cravings in Ramadan, how to schedule your sleep, and how to manage diabetes and breastfeeding. This Ramadan, enjoy the blessing of improving your health with your whole family. Visit RamadanReset.com to master your health and fitness this Ramadan.
All right, so I wanted to kind of just share that so you guys know that we have this great resource available there for you, alhamdulillah. Anything, that we don't have time to cover till there in really great detail for you to go in there, read the articles, learn on how to take kind of your sleep, fitness, and nutrition to the next level, inshallah. So definitely give that a check out. And you can also get our Ramadan Reset ebook there, which has, again, really, really practical guidelines for you there. So we talked about going, when is the best time to exercise, being super safe when you're picking a workout timing, and how non-fasted exercises are definitely safer. Last time, we kind of ended off from our last webinar talking about what exercises are best for Ramadan. And I did just want to elaborate about this a little bit more because during Ramadan, I get a lot of questions. What is the best type of exercise? What should I do? And in Ramadan, we really, first of all, have to recognize that your goals are shifting, right? So in Ramadan, you're not trying to, get to your next level of strength. And, you're not trying to become faster, and you're not trying to, take it to the next level in your workouts. Your goal changes in Ramadan to exercise for high energy, for maintenance of your previous fitness progress, to really make sure that you're getting that beautiful activity in the day, so you have that clarity and focus and concentration. That is your focus of exercise in Ramadan. And I always find it so funny because every year about 30% of people who hear this message, they all start saying, sister, make sure that you're focusing on worship, and it's not a time to exercise, and you can just take a month out from the gym. And people get really aggressive about this. But again, anyone who says that is not understanding the reason why you're exercising in Ramadan. You need to have this base level of movement for your body to function at high performance. So that's definitely needs to be there. Now, when we're thinking about what types of exercises work best in Ramadan, basically anything goes. So your favorite classes, your favorite things at the gym, your favorite, current workout schedules, most of that can work really well in Ramadan with a few exceptions. So a lot of the research shows certain types of workouts may be affected and compromised in Ramadan. So I put together this little chart here that you can see the different types of exercises and how they're affected. So number one, submaximal exercise. This is any exercise that you're probably doing, right? This is the type of exercise that, you can sustain for a longer period. Just an average person's exercise where you are working hard, but you're not like pushing at like 150% intensity. And this, research shows that this is not significantly affected in Ramadan. So if you're doing submaximal exercise, you're staying below your maximum ability, that's not going to be too affected while fasting. So this is a case where, I do like to suggest that, say you love doing really intense workouts, maybe, you drop the intensity a little bit in Ramadan because you want to stay at the submaximal level. Now, maximal exercise, research does show that is affected when you are fasting, because you reach a point of exhaustion faster. Okay, so this is research done on elite athletes, and we find that, that elite athletic performance, maximal performance is affected. So that's, again, that concept. Don't expect to reach your new personal best records. It's the time for maintenance. So don't, get frustrated if you can't do as much in Ramadan as earlier. Again, the goal is different. So try to stay under your maximal level. So that's where, maybe drop down to 80% intensity, 80, 70, 60% intensity. Around there is fine. Maybe you're not going to be burning as much calories, but that's okay, because you're still going to get the amazing cognitive focus and physical benefits from exercise and movement. A lot of people ask about resistance training. Fortunately, the strength of your muscular contraction is not really affected. So if I can lift, 20 pounds on a bicep curl before Ramadan, that's going to be maintained in Ramadan, shouldn't be affected. Short duration cardio is also unaffected. So this is why I love saying a 20-minute workout is best in Ramadan, because it's short, it gets you those benefits, and it allows you to not prolong the period until exhaustion, because long duration exercises are severely affected. So this is an example of what we call low intensity steady state exercise. So exercise that are done for a really long period of time, like marathon running, endurance training, long distance cycling or running. All of these are examples of really long activities. I mean, when you're going beyond 20 minutes, 20, 30, 40 minutes, beyond that, you're starting to definitely see your performance going to be impacted, because again, you have a shorter time window until exhaustion. And you will get tired a lot faster. So long distance runner, if you're loving your 10K runs, I definitely scale it down and not go above 5K in Ramadan, and maybe even shorter than that. This is a case where, again, you have to check in with your body and be really responsible, because if I'm a regular runner outside of Ramadan, maybe I'll be able to do a 5K run, no problem. But if someone's not a regular runner, then that would probably be a shock to their system. So look at your current workout routine and scale down in terms of duration and intensity. So this is where, you know, we have to get really individual, like all things with our health. So, you know, I know that definitely family members, when they see me exercising in Ramadan, they're like, why are you doing that? That's too much. But I know my body and I know how much I'm able to do outside of Ramadan. So I know when I'm scaling back. So that's a case where, you know, it's very individual. What's your current fitness level? What's your experience level? What is your current fitness potential? When you scale that down for yourself, that's going to look different for everyone. So just keep that in mind. So just to kind of summarize that, I wouldn't be doing long distance endurance events, cycling or running or anything like that. Things like spin classes, I wouldn't do those in Ramadan either, because spin classes, for example, are maximal exercise and they're pretty long duration, right? A typical cycling class at a gym is probably around 45 minutes to an hour, and those are very, very intense. Like those totally leave you drenched in sweat. So I wouldn't do that during Ramadan. But you know, a 20-minute slower pace, maybe a interval training cycling workout that you do on your own, that might be great. You know, any type of resistance training classes, if you enjoy those at the gym, any type of personal resistance work that you want to do, all of that sounds good. So just look at your current routine and see how you want to scale it down. And again, if you want to start a Ramadan exercise routine, definitely check out ramadanreset.com. I do want to mention the importance of resistance exercises. So whenever you have a caloric deficit, whenever an individual is taking in less calories, which often happens when we're fasting in Ramadan because we have gotten rid of our lunch meal, we often run into the risk of losing muscle mass. So a lot of people think that, okay, I'm going to lose muscle while fasting, and that could be true, but that is not unique to Ramadan or fasting. So studies have shown that in any diet where you know, people are cutting down the calories, there is a potential muscle loss that occurs. So that's not unique to fasting. I just wanted to point that out. And we can just mitigate that danger by making sure that we're doing resistance exercises. So these are things that require your muscles in your body to strengthen and get stronger from the load you're putting on them. So weight training is an obvious one that many people think of. Again, you're not thinking of your personal best weights that you're going to lift, but you want to have that muscular activation with resistance training to make sure you're not losing your muscular development in Ramadan. I do also want to say that it doesn't have to be weights. You know, you don't have to use equipment to actually get this benefit of resistance exercises to maintain your muscles. So any type of body weight exercise that maintains, you know, a resistance effect, such as squats, such as push-ups, such as planks. Those are all great ways to get resistance training without actually using any equipment. So you don't have to go to the gym or use any bulky equipment. All of these kind of body weight exercises are great. And in the Ramadan Reset ebook, we have a full schedule for you guys to follow with specific workouts. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll share that with you guys shortly. So all these types of exercises, body weight exercises, are fantastic to make sure you're getting that resistance. And the reason why that happens is, if you remember, we looked at this formula in the last webinar, and we looked at the ways that your body burns calories, right? So your body is using calories throughout the day for different purposes. So, you know, your body is using them for obvious things like movement, for exercise, also for non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, that neat movement we talked about. So this is standing, shifting, moving. Also, your body uses up calories in the day to digest your food. And the one that I wanted to highlight here is your basal metabolic rate. So this is the number of calories you would burn if you're just lying in bed. How much do your body require to sustain itself? And this is from, you know, all of your organs, your heart, your lungs, and also especially your muscles. Muscles are the superstars of your body, because when you have more muscles, they burn more calories. So an example that I like to give to people here is that, 6 years ago, when I was 60 pounds overweight, I didn't have any muscles. So I was really, say that I would have, 1,200 calories in the day. I would be gaining weight from that because I didn't have the muscles. So my metabolic rate was really, really low. And then now, 6 years later, alhamdulillah, after losing that weight, after developing muscles, then that's a case where now I can eat a lot more because my metabolic rate has been boosted. So I have more muscles now that are burning more calories. And so you can think like your metabolic engine is revved up when you get muscles, and your body then can take in more calories. So think about it. Wouldn't it be nice if you could eat more food because your body is more efficient and burns more calories just by living every day? That's the beautiful effect of muscles. And that is why it is so, so important to do resistance exercises to develop those muscles. So don't stick to your cardio only. Make sure that you have a resistance training protocol in place during Ramadan. And if you need help with that, definitely check out the Ramadan Reset ebook. One thing that I always love suggesting, which is super fun and super easy, is to do a plank challenge inside of Ramadan. So this is fun because it's an example of resistance exercise, which we just talked about, but also allows you to, in just a really short amount of time, like in 2 minutes a day, get a stronger core. And the core is your powerhouse. It affects every other movement you do in your life. So you guys can definitely, if you are willing to do this, grab a friend and commit to doing this. We're starting off with just 20 seconds, and you work it up by just adding a few seconds a day to, by the end of Ramadan, being able to hold a plank for 2 minutes, just by daily increases. So this is a super fun challenge. I always like to challenge people with every single year. Will be one of the people who do it and accomplish that. That's super exciting. If you can't hold a plank for 20 seconds, feel free to do this entire sequence on your knees. And then maybe at day 15, you could start adding some toe planks in there as well. If you can already hold your plank for a minute or two and you want to make this harder, try elevating your feet on a weighted medicine ball or some blocks, because when you do an elevated feet plank, it becomes so much more intense. Just that 1 minute of an elevated feet plank, you guys will be totally shocked at how much more difficult it gets. So that's a really nice way to suggest that, you get that muscular activation in. I also like to suggest that throughout the day, put in some little opportunities for muscular activation. So I love, when I've been working for a while and it's time for a break, and getting up, obviously doing some walking, but I love just adding in like 10 squats, 10, 15 squats, or a little bit of a plank or a few push-ups. This is how you can become a person who is constantly having muscular activation throughout the day. It's going to definitely clear up your mind, be a great opportunity to use that break time. So add in that resistance work whenever you can. I know some people keep like a pull-up bar by their desk at work, and then when it's their break time, they'll go and pump out a few pull-ups and then come back to the desk. That's pretty cool. So think about your resistance. So that's I just want to wrap up that movement section. Think about how you're going to be moving in this Ramadan. And I know that everybody is different, and you can make this customized and work for you, whether you're just doing neat movement and getting your 10, 15 steps a day, whether, you're thinking more about actually working out this Ramadan. Make it work for you. You got to customize it, make it something that fits your lifestyle. Any movement is better than no movement. So I don't want anyone to be like, sedentary, hibernating like a bear. It's time to, really get that movement up there. So hope everyone is kind of good with that. Let me know. I would love to know. Type in the comments whether you're going to be doing movement or exercise this Ramadan. I would love to know which one you're choosing. And we always get a really nice spread between those every single year. And there's, nothing wrong with one or the other. So hopefully that resonated with people. All right. So I also like the idea, who's going to take up the Ramadan plank challenge. That's really a good idea. It's super effective. So if you guys are all cool with it, I'd love to kind of transition into the healthy eating in Ramadan section. This is the part that I think everyone jumps to first when it comes to thinking about health in Ramadan, obviously, because for many people, Ramadan is such a food-centric experience. And definitely understand that, but it's really great to have some guidelines in place so you know how to make your favorite foods, your traditions, your ethnic foods fit a healthy Ramadan lifestyle. So one thing that, I think we get to a lot is thinking that healthy eating only looks like salads or only looks like lean chicken. And that's absolutely not the case. Any food of any culture can be healthy when in the right quantities, so in the right amounts for your body, and also by making smart swaps and smart changes. So that's super important. Now, I'm going to give you kind of an interesting approach to this. I think a lot of people jump straight into saying, okay, eat this, eat this, eat this, eat this. And that doesn't work for many people, because if you're not, eating those specific foods, then you're like, okay, I can't follow that advice. So I like to give kind of guidelines that you can look at to think of how you can make your favorite foods fit into these guidelines. Okay. So we're going to go over two concepts here. That will really help you start to think about whether your way of eating is fitting these, broad guidelines for healthy eating. So the first concept I wanted to go over was the pyramid of integrated nutrition. And this is a great way of thinking about how your foods are stacking up in your diet. When it comes down to it, your body doesn't know specific exact quantities and isn't keeping track of that. Your body is looking at patterns and the way that you that you're eating on a general daily basis. So when you think about the majority of foods that are going into your body, what would you say the majority of those are? For many people in Ramadan, that looks like a huge plate of rice and a huge section of meat on top and like a little sprinkling of vegetables on the side. So I really want to flip that script, and think about starting the base off with water and vegetables. That's what it means to have a plant-based diet that is, so popular now, and so much research is showing its benefits. Doesn't mean that you only eat plants. It means that you start off with the base as plants. And then on top of this, you add on. So on top of your vegetables, that's one. Then you can add your healthy fats. Then you add your animal protein. Then you add your grains. So we're really flipping the script. So think about the typical plate with rice and meat and a little bit of vegetables and flip it on its head. So we really want to start thinking about must-haves of those vegetables, plant proteins. In terms of examples of healthy fats, this comes to things like avocados, fish oil, how those beautiful fatty fishes, and I'll definitely give you guys some more examples shortly. So start thinking about, what does your plate look like and what is the base of it? The other guideline I wanted to go over is called this circle of integration. So when we're thinking about the types of foods that we're eating and how we're eating, we can really break down all of that into 4 major sections. And that goes to food production, food processing, food preparation, and food consumption. So these are the 4 areas that I want you to start thinking, how do your foods stack up? And how does the way you eat stack up? So we're going to go over this, and then I'm going to give you guys some really concrete examples, inshallah. But it's really helpful to start comparing the way you eat, the style that you eat. And that's what I always like to help people think about, because again, it's the overall broad ways that you're eating. I don't want you to just go through Ramadan for 30 days and have be eating slightly healthier. And then after Ramadan, you're going back to all of the unhealthy habits. Take this as an opportunity to think about, what is the way and general style that I eat. Okay. So the first thing to think about is food consumption. So this is the way in which you're eating. How are you consuming your food? This is where we really want to make sure, and you can kind of see there's like this basically, if you picture that triangle that we looked at, this is looking at it from a bird's eye view. So there's on the negative spectrum is, kind of disordered eating. So eating really fast, not having gratitude when you're eating, not being mindful when you're eating, eating while in front of the TV. All of those are examples of consuming food in an unhealthy way. And we want to kind of shift that towards being present when you're eating, right? So, and I really find that so many of the du'as associated with food really help inculcate this spirit of, using your food as an opportunity to feel grateful and to, really appreciate that blessing of food in your life, and thinking about how this is something that we have to be so grateful for. And when you shift your mindset into being present and grateful as you're eating, it naturally forces you to slow down because you're not stuffing everything into your mouth. And so much research has showed that slowing down when you're eating naturally controls the amount that you get to put in your body, because your brain takes some time to catch up to how much food is going in. So, a lot of people, they stuff themselves with so much food so quickly that by the time they realize they're full, they've already overeaten. So this is the first practical step that I can say when it comes to healthy eating in Ramadan. Slow it down. You don't need to try and get all the food on your plate into your stomach in like 3 seconds flat. Spread it out. And that's why I really love when people break it down so that they'll break their fast, go drink some water, go pray Maghrib, come back, eat the rest of their meal, because again, that just allows your brain time to catch up. And the slower you eat, you'll find the more satisfied you feel, and really, the better you feel. And I definitely have been doing a lot of tests with this on myself. So over the past year, I had this challenge with myself to not eat in front of a screen ever. And it was really difficult because I think everyone's used to, having lunch while working, or talking to family on FaceTime while you're eating, or, just watching a video on YouTube while you're eating. And I noticed such a dramatic difference when I cut that out, because the same quantity of food would just make me feel more full and satisfied when I didn't eat in front of a screen. And that all comes down to your style of food consumption. Try and get into the green circle of present and not distracted as much as possible. So that's kind of that first tip. Number 2 is food production. Okay, so this is one of those things that it's not always required, but eating natural seasonal foods is always a great way to make sure that your foods are having the best possible nutrients for you. So when it comes to what types of foods are you eating? A lot of people immediately think of organic versus non-organic, but it doesn't have to just be that. This can be getting the beautiful fresh foods from, your local farmers markets, or seeing what's in season at the grocery store. That's a great way to introduce this natural variety into your lifestyle. And one of the interesting things that I find is that for people who are eating a really hyper-processed, unhealthy food diet, their foods stay the same all year, right? Because you can always get your deep fried stuff. You can always get your pizzas. You can always get, all of that kind of artificial types of foods, or foods that have been more processed, or foods that are very commercialized. You can get those all year long. But when it comes to individuals who are eating really healthy and who are eating a beautiful mix of vegetables and fruits and having a plant-based diet, those people actually have so much beautiful variety, because the fruits are have a lot, if you find yourself always eating the same types of foods, that's a little bit of a warning sign that I'd like you to check in with. If you're eating by the season, it generally forces you to eat better. So food production, think about kind of eating the fresh, natural, seasonal foods. Number 3 is food processing. So this one is a big one for a lot of people. So we want to always try and eat foods that is minimally processed. The more processing that occurs in foods, the more nutrients are lost at every stage of processing. So an easy example to think about is oats. You have steel cut oats, which are the most unprocessed. They have the most amount of nutrients. Then they're processed down to rolled oats, which are faster to cook, but they have a little bit of nutrient loss. And then you process those down into quick oats, which are the fastest to cook, but those, again, have a lot of nutrient loss. And then you have quicker oats, which quick and just make it super convenient so you can pour some boiling water in them. So those are obviously on the hyper processed side of the spectrum, and we want to again be moving away from processed as much as possible. So when it comes to meats, always try and have the actual meat instead of the processed bologna and salami, right? So I know that so many halal meat companies specialize in poisoning us with processed meats. So try and shift away from that. It's always better to cook the meat yourself, to have it in its more natural form. And this is a great learning point as well for kids. And kids get this, if you should always look and be able to say that, was this walking at one point? Where is this growing in nature? And the farther you get away from that standard, the more, I guess, processed you're getting. In terms of quick steel cut oats, I guess I've actually never seen quick steel cut oats, but as long as they kind of are a version of steel cut oats, you'd have to kind of look at what processing has been done to them to make them super fast. I actually haven't seen those before. So in terms of unprocessing your food diet, think about getting closer to its original format. So when it comes to your vegetables, obviously eating them raw is the best way. And then, okay, Chala, I'd love to try a sample of the quick steel cut oats. So when it comes to your vegetables, raw is always best because that's the most unprocessed. And then as you get further and further away from that, you're again having that nutrient loss. So this is the case where steaming is probably the best way to prepare your vegetables because it retains the most nutrients, right? And then as you get more and more intense forms of cooking, you're having that nutrient loss. So boiling, there's it's still a great way to enjoy your vegetables, but there's more nutrient loss there. Pressure cooker, nutrient loss that's occurring there. And then on the furthest processing side, you have people who take all of their vegetables and dump them in a pot of oil and deep fry them. And then by the end, you're left with like a ghost of a vegetable. And so much nutrients have been lost, and also so much other calories have been added there. So try and, again, shift towards the more raw spectrum. When it comes to vegetables, I always think it's a balance, because some people, they'll say, I don't like vegetables. And I just think that they haven't tried the right types of vegetables and haven't tried the right cooking style. So if you have a picky eater in your family, try different cooking styles to help them taste the joys of vegetables. A point that I wanted to say here is that a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about microwaving. And anytime I mention microwaving, someone tells me that I'm like promoting cancer. But a lot of studies have shown that, microwaving does not really induce any more negative attributes to the food than other styles of cooking. So yes, there's a nutrient loss that occurs when you microwave foods, but but even studies have shown, Harvard Medical School found that less nutrients are lost in microwaving compared to boiling. So that's a really convenient way if you want to prepare some vegetables really quickly this Ramadan for your family. Find a style that works for you and run with it to get those veggies in, inshallah. And then the last one is food preparation. So we talked about that in terms of eating foods in their natural states as much as possible. And this also includes raw to the spectrum of overcooked. So we kind of already talked about that in terms of making sure that your foods are getting close to their natural state. So that's kind of that circle. I want to just quickly go over some of these food groups so you have a really, really crystal clear idea. What's for suhoor? I want to break it down to 4 things that you should try and always include in your suhoor. Number 1 is complex carbohydrates. So this is getting, in terms of your processing, getting away from the processing. So when you're thinking about complex carbs, you're thinking about your browns, the brown breads, the brown rices, your beautiful rolled oats, or maybe quick steel cut oats, whatever you prefer there. So getting those complex carbs, the benefit of that is that they're high in fiber. And fiber is, you can think of like packing tape that comes with your food. When you're eating foods that are high in fiber, they keep you fuller longer because your body can't digest fiber. So it's like this beautiful packing tape that's in your stomach, just keeping you nice and full all day long. So complex carbs and fiber go hand in hand. And, this also includes other vegetables that are high in fiber, including fruits and vegetables, apples, mangoes. Those are all beautiful, high in fiber, dates, all of those. And if you want kind of to go through in a little bit more detail, at ramadanreset.com, you can get this entire healthy eating checklist right there on that page. And nice kind of check out and get a breakdown of things to include at suhoor and iftar. So definitely check that out. 2 other things that I want to recommend you have at your suhoor: lean protein. So this is a case where a lot of people, they think like, okay, the protein's for iftar, but absolutely, the more you can put protein into your suhoor, the more full you will feel during your fast. So eggs are a great option, but also feel free to expand your protein to non-animal sources of protein. So this is your beans, this is chia seeds, this is even yogurt, right? Because that's also high in protein. So your body has a great need for protein, especially if you're exercising as well in Ramadan. So I always like to say, try and have some protein with every single suhoor. Oats, which are coming up a lot, are amazing because those are high in protein, they're high in fiber. So oats are, It's an interesting balance, because you have some people who will eat like paratha and samosas and fried food for suhoor, and then you'll have other people who are like, I can't even eat a slice of toast. So it's basically, you know, kind of what is your personal comfort level, and how much food can you eat at suhoor. So I would like to say that no matter what type of suhoor that you're having, try and get maybe 3 of these criteria in here. Okay, so maybe your complex carbs, your high fiber, thinking about protein, that would be cool. Maybe, you know, you really can't have too much at suhoor, so maybe you're only having a banana and, you know, a cup of yogurt or a glass of milk. And, you know, maybe some dates. So that would be getting your fiber and, you know, your coming in fiber in the banana. And then also, you know, you could get your protein through the yogurt, and then maybe also add like, you know, a sweet potato or something. Or, you know, another example of some complex carbs could just be like a half a slice of brown bread with like some peanut butter on it. Those are all great options. So just try and get 3 out of these criteria, 2 to 3 of these criteria in your suhoor. And if you're someone who likes to eat a lot at suhoor, that is just more opportunity to add more nutrition and help you feel really nice and full throughout the day. Healthy fats, we mentioned that earlier, is another great one to include. So there's really 2 types of fats. There's your good fats and your bad fats. When it comes to your bad fats, this is where, you know, you're thinking of the junky stuff. So you're thinking of, you know, the stuff that's in chips and in, you know, really heavily made baked goods, and your cakes and your butter, buttery filled like pastries and stuff like that. So those are examples of not the right types of fats that we want to include. Then when it comes to the good types of fats, these are things like all of your nuts, which are amazing, your avocados, fatty fishes, so salmon, great example. Lean, a lot of protein still has healthy fats in it, right? So, you know, your beef, your lamb, those are all great sources as well. Coconut oil is a great type of healthy fat. When it comes to coconut oil and butter, they're always a little bit controversial, right? Because these are examples of fats that people are a little bit confused about, because are these healthy fats or not healthy fats? So when it comes to those, just the research shows that there are perhaps some benefits of these, but it's still important to keep them limited, okay? Because these are still types of foods that we don't want to overdo in our diet. So, you know, just keep an eye on in terms of butter and coconut oil. Extra virgin olive oil is another great one. Olives are great in healthy fats, so those are fantastic. So when you're looking at these core ingredients, you can, you know, really pair them in a way that creates some beautiful suhoors. Hina and Safiya are saying, you know, that they're usually not too hungry, or they fill up with water. And again, that's totally fine. Maybe you guys, if you're not able to have that much food in the morning, you know, you're having some overnight oats, right? So it's you know, just a beautiful small little oat portion. You know, if you really are like can't even roll out of bed, just keep like banana and dates and some water by your bed. So I have some more examples here in terms of your suhoor. And again, you can have as much or as little from this menu as you like. One time I was doing a presentation, and then this uncle was like, you want me to eat all of that at suhoor? I'm going to like explode. So again, it depends on how much you're already eating at suhoor. But you can see that there's a wide variety, a wide range of things that you can have. So you have yogurt, you have fruits, you can have salad, you can have eggs and on bread, you can have water, you can have milk. That's an example of a suhoor that includes a beautiful range of food groups. It has fiber, it has you know, protein, it has a lot of good stuff in there. When it comes, you know, we mentioned oats a lot, but you know, peanut butter is a great example of a healthy fat, as long as it doesn't have added sugar in it, and you know, you're really just getting a nice natural peanut butter with nothing else added. So it should be maybe peanuts and salt, and that's it in your peanut butter. Peanut butter and apples is an amazing way to start off the morning as well. Eggs are always fantastic if you can have those. A great idea that a lot of people do is at the beginning of the week, maybe they will pressure cook or even boil like 24 eggs in one go. and those will last for a few days in your fridge. So if you're doing that, you can have the whole family eating eggs, and you won't have to do that work in the morning. So a nice tip is to kind of think about what you're going to have for suhoor. So boiling lots of eggs is cool. Making a whole bunch of overnight oats is cool. Maybe, making a huge container of salad the night before so you can have some of those greens in the morning. Like, don't think that you can't have greens at suhoor. That's a great way to get more nutrients in there. So all these were good examples. I also have some examples for, many of you guys who are saying that you're not hungry and you don't want to eat at suhoor. A smoothie is the best way to have a really holistic, healthy suhoor, because you can fit a lot of nutrients in a very small space, right? So this is all blended up. It's always easier to drink more volume rather than eat. So I love this example of a green smoothie. Like, look at everything that's in here. You have your fruits, and you have your fiber and the spinach that's going in there. You could even add some chia seeds in here to get some healthy fat. And is a smoothie, I would say, for any of you guys who are struggling with suhoor, you got to do a smoothie. And in our Ramadan Reset ebook, we actually have 30 suhoor smoothies. So you could have a different smoothie every single day of Ramadan. So smoothies are a total favorite for suhoor. If you like a more traditional style of suhoor, so that's a case where, you could have even, I know some people like to eat like curry in the morning. I can't really handle that. But if you like doing that, definitely try and have something that's lean, right? That's not covered in so much oil, because that's an example of that not good for you oil. So when you scoop at your curry, there shouldn't be like a layer of oil. So, chickpeas or a nice lean curry would be definitely a great option there. Ariba is asking, is egg a good option even during summer? Eggs are a good option any day of the year. Eggs are fantastic. So much research shows that the whole egg is amazing. Several years ago, it was actually thought that the yolk wasn't good for you, but so much research has showed that the yolk and the egg white together are a beautiful package of nutrients. So have that whole egg and enjoy it any day of the year. If you're having like any type of roti, I'd love to suggest, make it brown, a whole wheat one. That's an example of the complex carbohydrates that we talked about earlier. Try and avoid anything deep fried. So I know like a lot of desis enjoy like parathas, which are like a flatbread that you deep fry. So try and avoid that again. Try and keep it complex and reduce the level of processing. Yogurt, always a great option. So that's kind of a more traditional style. And then if you enjoy full beans, those are amazing. And those are so good because they're high in the protein that we talked about. So full is a really good one. I think Hina likes full. Full, yogurt, eggs, lots and lots and lots of these great options for you guys to experiment with at suhoor. Suhoor doesn't have to be so boring, and suhoor doesn't have to be so difficult. The super fast version is a smoothie. The more elaborate version is your curries, with some veggies, some yogurts. So there's that full spectrum. So no matter how limited or how little you like to eat at suhoor, there's an option for you guys there. And definitely be sure to check out the Ramadan Reset ebook, and the link is there, because that has like a full fasting meal plan for the entire month of Ramadan. So that's super helpful. You literally don't have to think about it. It's all there for you. When it comes for iftar, everything that I've said about suhoor applies for iftar. Okay, so you still want to be thinking about complex carbs and your proteins and your healthy fats. I want to add two more guidelines for iftar, and that's number one, fluid-filled foods. So try saying that fast 3 times. So your body needs the fluids. You've gone the whole day without food, but most importantly, you've gone the whole day without water. And that is the most significant thing that you have to correct as soon as it's time to break your fast. So I think Hina mentioned that she always fills up with 1 liter of water prior to eating. That's, great. Definitely start off with water. Start off with hydration when you have your dates as well. But also incorporate fluid-filled foods whenever possible. So in the Ramadan Reset ebook, we always like to do digestive soups. So in the Ramadan Reset ebook, we gave you 30 soup recipes that you can have at iftar. A soup is an amazing way to prime your digestive system and help introduce the food. You know, your digestive system has not been running all day, so it's a great way to kind of gently start sliding in the food with the digestive soup. Other really great hydrating fruits are fantastic. In Ramadan, as a kid, my dad would always slice up a whole watermelon. And that's a great food because it's so hydrating. And you will feel so much better if you start off with more hydrating options. So yogurts are fantastic. Vegetables and fruits are very fluid filled. So keep that in mind. Try and start with something fluid filled first before transitioning to your other foods. You can think your grains and your proteins, they're amazing for you, but they also are dehydrating. So watch that and start off with fluid filled foods. And then number 2 thing I want to add again, I got to stress it, high fiber foods. Fiber is your friend in Ramadan because it's going to help you feel so much fuller. So, the obvious ones, like we mentioned, are your brown rice, brown bread, but also quinoa, couscous, lentils, for dal or lentil soup is amazing in Ramadan. It's so hydrating. Halim is a very popular desi option, and that's, it's just this nice stew with meat in it, and lentils and meat. And so these are great, great examples. So think about your fiber. And I want you to kind of think about your experience in Ramadan and how you feel throughout the day is constantly fluctuating based on your suhoor and iftar choices. So suhoor is going to power you through, your fast. And then you have an option to either continue that power up or detract from that at your iftar. So, when you're thinking about your iftar, that's going to impact how you feel during Tarawih and also the next day. So really be vigilant about that at iftar. In Ramadan, you have to consider your feeding opportunities as feeding opportunities. These are, this is an opportunity to pick the type of energy you're going to go through Ramadan with. I always like to kind of say what's not for iftar. Number 1, really try and limit your sugary foods, okay? Because when you're having really high sugar foods, it's going to lead to this energy crash. It's going to lead to fatigue and irritability. And I know that that's not always practical because there's so many incredible desserts that are on display in Ramadan. So I have 2 suggestions for you. Number 1 is if you're really a go-getter, you can go and decide to have a sugar detox all Ramadan. And man, you will feel super, super high energy. Or you can say to yourself that you will first prioritize having a fluid-filled, high-fiber, beautiful, healthy iftar. And then after that, if you want to have a small amount of sugar in some type of dessert, that's okay. But what's not okay is having, like the pink milk drinks that are full of sugar and a sugary orange juice and, like these sweets and biscuits right at the beginning of iftar. That's not how you want to start off your iftar. So limit the sugar and try and put it towards the end, and do not consume your sugar in drinks. Just don't do it. There's too much sugar and you consume a lot of it when it's in drinks. Intan's asking a smoothie for suhoor and yogurt for iftar. Like I said, that both of these can be for either opportunity. You can have a smoothie for your suhoor and yogurt, or you can have those both for iftar. When it comes to suhoor and iftar, there's less of a distinction than you might think, right? So don't think of breakfast versus dinner because there's some stereotypical foods associated with each of those. I want you to think about just the 4 guidelines that we talked about: the complex carbs, the healthy fats, the high fiber, the lean protein. Any food that fulfills that can be eaten at any time. So you could have oats for iftar and you could have fish for suhoor. No problem there. The other thing I really want you guys to limit and keep in mind is fried foods. So these are definitely going to impact your Tarawih if you're having a lot of them. Try and cut back on the quantity and the way you're making these. Okay, so when it comes to how you're making these, cut down on the oil that's used. Try baking instead. Try other food preparation styles. Not everything has to be fried in Ramadan. I don't know why Ramadan is like the season of frying. So try different styles. A great tip that I love to suggest is if you in your kitchen, if you have an air fryer, this is a kitchen appliance that I think is worth the investment if you are someone who loves fried foods. So this is a machine that actually creates an effect of frying by using hot air. So you put in your samosas and whatever into the air fryer, and then it blasts it with hot air, and it comes out with a texture similar to frying. And you can make sweet potato chips in there. You can make samosas. You can make pakoras, anything in there. So that's an option for you there. Baking is also always a great option, of course. And when it comes to quantity, just try, and if you're going to enjoy these fried options, have just one. If you think about it, if you have 3 samosas every day at iftar, that ends up 21 samosas per week, and that ends up being 90 samosas by the end of Ramadan. So I don't think you want to eat 90 samosas in 1 month. So really try and, limit it to 1. And maybe you don't have to have fried items every single day. Again, I'm trying to give you guys guidelines so that you can think broadly. What am I limiting, and what am I making more of in your Ramadan foods, inshallah? So just some kind of broad tips. First of all your healthy foods can be enjoyed in moderation. When you want to eat, your favorite foods, desserts, fried things, eat them in small quantities. I always say the rule of 1 is fantastic. So it's 1 samosa, 1 pakora, 1 of whatever you want, but not more than that. Iftar parties are really, really challenging because there's this massive spread that is super enticing. But when you're there, I would love to say first, again, think about that pyramid of nutrition and fill your plate with the bases first, with your vegetables, with, the things that are at the bottom of the triangle before filling up with, the treats and such. And again, you can get the Ramadan Reset ebook to get all of those diagrams and everything for you. Eating small portions is always better. Especially, if you have a family history of diabetes, or you have someone in your family with diabetes, it's great to not have these massive food explosions in, your Ramadan. Maybe instead of having this one really big iftar meal, you're making it 2 smaller meals. And that's always a great way to spread out your calories. I don't want you to, think of Ramadan as just in terms of your food as 2 peaks, suhoor and iftar, blasting you with all your calories. Spread it out, your body always likes a more spread out, smoother flow. So, and last thing I'll kind of mention, when it comes to portioning out your plate, the Harvard Healthy Plate Guideline is always an easy way to go. Look at your plate, put things in its section, and be done with it. I really want you to try and steer away from the plate that's full of carbs and full of meat and a little bit of veggies, inshallah. In terms of coffee, definitely check out ramadanreset.com/coffee because we have a full research article on it. If you're drinking coffee, there's no problem having it in moderation. The guideline is 300 milligrams or less. So that's around less than 3 cups, which probably most people shouldn't have a problem with, inshallah. Just wanted to wrap this all up by saying that definitely there's a lot to cover when it comes to sleep and fitness and nutrition. And we have absolutely everything here for you in your Ramadan Reset ebook. And so if you want, that complete guide, if you want your full meal plan, you want your full fitness schedule, and that makes it super, super easy and practical to get your healthiest Ramadan, inshallah. And you will notice such a big difference once you prioritize this health and fitness, inshallah. So I'd love to maybe transition to some questions, if that's okay. And definitely, I'd love to encourage you guys to check out the Ramadan Reset ebook as well.
Awesome. Jazakallah khair, Sister Aminah, for sharing all of that. This is really practical, really useful. And I think, it's going to be, let me put it this way. I'm going to have a long discussion with my wife and family about what goes in. But alhamdulillah, I think it's good to have these, always an eye opener to learn the research-based material. So now this Q&A, guys. So feel free to ask your questions. Will be another 5-10 minutes, depending on how much questions you guys have. It could be on sleep, nutrition, or fitness, because we did cover all 3 topics in this webinar and the previous webinar. So yes, any questions you have about this topic, and like I mentioned, if you really want to learn more about sleep, nutrition, and fitness, I highly recommend to get the ebook. I know it might be overwhelming. You might think, oh my God, I don't know if I can implement all of this now. just, sometimes it's just about going through the content and then try to implement one or two things, and you start building. Like every Ramadan you get healthier, every Ramadan you get healthier. So don't feel like I have to follow everything from day one, or otherwise my Ramadan is ruined. Take a step, make a step. And say, make the intention. This is priceless. I remember a few years back, we didn't have this sort of resources. Literally, we had to like figure out things and try to, ask nutritionists who didn't understand Ramadan, or ask, Muslims who didn't understand nutrition. So, subhanAllah, that the fact that we have highly qualified nutritionists and doctors and PhD students and people who really understand both the cultural aspect, the Islamic aspect, the faith aspect, as well as the scientific aspect about it, and bringing this information in a beautiful, colorful way. This is a huge ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and something that, really it's a huge service to the ummah. So I feel like all of us need to be thankful and support such causes and support such projects, because they really are needed, and they really do make a difference, inshallah. So any questions from anybody about sleep, nutrition, fitness? This is the final webinar of Ramadan Prep Week. I can't believe it's been a wonderful week. I really had a lot of fun. I want to thank everyone who attended every single day. And also all our guests, and especially Aminah, who turned up twice for ours. So jazakallah khair. Early morning Brisbane. Appreciate that. So yes, any questions? Waiting for the questions.
I really think that it was, a great thing that you mentioned about building with every single Ramadan. And, you have to start somewhere. And I love that. Imagine that every single Ramadan you implement just a few of these things. And that's, a really great strategy.
Absolutely. Level up. We go every Ramadan, level up. So Hina took 10,000 steps. Yes, Hina, I was telling Aminah the same thing. Like, I actually got my Fitbit out and I started doing morning walks and pre-iftar walks. That's and amazing. Finally hitting those. So yeah, you are, making impact. And again, it's not about just the steps or the food. It's just, how you feel as a day. Like, you feel more alert when you're working, you feel more present when you're praying. It just improves you. It's not about the steps of the food. It's actually the impact it has on your spirituality. Inshallah.
Absolutely. Ariba asks, is milk okay during suhoor? If you're not lactose intolerant, milk is okay at any time, any place, definitely. And if you are lactose intolerant, that's a really great chance to think about how else you can get calcium into your diet, and even maybe think about a vitamin D supplement if you are lactose intolerant. But milk's fantastic.
I had a question. If I woke up and I had 5 minutes before suhoor ends, what should I do?
That's a good question. That happens to so many people. I like to say just keep a banana and some dates and some water like right by your bed. So that's your emergency suhoor supply, that if it comes down to it, that'll get you through for sure. And keep in mind that, again, the water is the most important part, even more so than the food. So definitely have a couple water bottles by your bed. Ideally, we don't want to be chugging water in Ramadan because that's going to, really just come out really quickly. But, as much as you can, just kind of sip some water in between bites in those last 5 minutes. And it's better than nothing for sure.
Alhamdulillah. Awesome. And what about people who delay the iftar till after Taraweeh? I mean, won't that affect their sleep?
It's interesting because there's like kind of mixed research that a lot of previous thought was saying that, okay, the effects of food late at night might impact your sleep, and the effects of exercise late at night. And so everyone is really different here. And it's a lot to do with what types of food you're having. So in the case where your food could impact your sleep is if you're having the really heavy types of foods. So a lot of the unhealthy fats, the deep fried stuff. If your body is working so hard to digest that stuff, and these are foods that might even cause you heartburn, then you might be waking up at night because your body's like just struggling to digest everything. But say that, that you come back from Tarawih and you're really hungry, and then you have something lean, that's totally fine. And it's less about the time to your sleep, from your last meal, really the quality, that's going to make a bigger difference. And in that light, in terms of exercise, closer to your bedtime, again, previously it was kind of thought that does that disturb your sleep? And you kind of have to look at that on an individual basis. Some people find that exercising closer to their bedtime actually helps them sleep better. So it's up to you when kind of your timing wants to be there, but definitely just experiment with that and see how you feel.
Awesome. Any other questions? Yes, the recordings are all asking recording. All the recordings on our YouTube channel. So please do check. I'll put the link for the previous webinar, for especially the previous webinar. Aminah, I think, which was really interesting. You have another question, Aminah?
Let's see. Limit water intake because of long Tarawih. That's a good point you brought up, Hina. I actually would like to say keep a water bottle with you throughout Tarawih and, be sipping that throughout. So we mentioned last webinar that the latest guidelines have increased the amount of water that it's recommended. And this is especially true for Muslims in Ramadan because we kind of need to go camel mode. We need to store up our water, in our non-fasting hours. So I would really say 13 cups of water a day is ideal. And that sounds like a lot, but that's a really simple thing to aim for. If you have 6 cups at suhoor and 7 cups in your iftar session, so keep a water bottle with you during iftar and if is during tarawih. And if you're concerned, just pray close to the back where you can, go to the bathroom frequently. That's not a problem. I find that a lot of people, when they suddenly start drinking more water, they're experiencing having to go to the bathroom so much more frequently. But, as your body gets used to it, it kind of evens out. So don't let that hold you back from, drinking lots of water in Tarawih.
Okay. Any other questions?
Feel free, guys, to ask any questions about sleep or anything that we covered last time. I know when we were doing that webinar, there was a lot of questions about sleep.
Yes. Going once.
Well, you guys can always check out Ramadan Reset as well. And, if you get the Ramadan Reset guidebook, you can always kind of contact us with any of your questions from that as well. And we're happy to answer there.
Perfect. I think we'll call that the end of the webinar. I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you, Aminah, for being with us. Thank you for sharing your resources in a very powerful, colorful, practical, useful way. This has been incredible. It's been a learning experience for me. I'm sure a learning experience for many of our viewers. And inshallah ta'ala, we will be posting this on YouTube and we'll be sending emails about all those sign for Ramadan prep week. I've noticed the numbers are dwindling for attendees every day. I think it's getting that time of the year. It's hard to bring everyone together. So, but inshallah, the people are watching on YouTube. So I'm sure a lot of you who are watching on YouTube will get the benefit, inshallah ta'ala. So I think we'll wrap it there. There are a couple of last questions before we wrap up from Hina and Fatima.
Taking 20 to 30 minute nap is hard. So I think that really setting yourself up for nap success is a good idea. So, if you're creating a dark, comfortable environment in which you feel relaxed, and you turn off any of the lights in the room, and you really create a place where your body starts to associate it with sleep, you will have a lot easier time napping. So your body is very habitual and you can make associations very easily. So say that, there's certain smells like lavender that induces sleep. Feel free to, have a specific time in which you're consistently doing the same type of thing. Maybe putting some lavender essential oil on your pillow, closing all the lights, telling the kids to go away, really making it a dark, comfortable environment. That will help you transition into sleep quickly. Also, the other thing, Hina, is that if you are having a difficult time falling asleep, we discussed this last webinar, that's actually one of the signs that you are sleep deprived. And that's definitely a challenge because, if you're struggling to be efficient in your sleep, we said sleep efficiency is the time in which you're asleep compared to the amount of time that you're in bed. And so if you're spending a lot of time in bed, but you're not asleep for 80 to 90% of that time, that's a low efficient sleep. That means you should improve your sleep quality. At ramadanreset.com/sleep, we have an entire article on steps you can take to improve your sleep quality in terms of, and then there's a lot of sleep. It's called sleep hygiene. It's an entire field of study that's devoted to how can you make your sleep better quality. It's not just about quantity, it's also about quality. So definitely check out that article at ramadanreset.com/sleep. That'll be quite helpful, I think, in helping you fall asleep faster. drink really cold water, and I'm told it's not good for you. There's a lot of misconceptions, of course, when it comes to health and fitness and cold water. I mean, aside from if you haven't eaten anything and you suddenly pour cold water down, you might feel like a tingle in your throat. Like there's water of all temperatures is good for you. If you want to smoothly kind of transition into eating, maybe, having lukewarm water or some soup might be an easier transition. But nothing really major there. And yeah, I think that covers it. Feel free to kind of reach out. You can find us on social media as well, and feel free to reach out with any of your other questions there. And definitely happy to answer any of them, inshallah.
Awesome. All right. Once again, thank you so much, and thank you everyone who attended. And also, a last shout out to Ramadan Launch Good Ramadan Challenge. Yesterday I asked Chris how many people signed up for Product Muslim. He said about 876. So I want to say thank you. That's an incredible number. My goal is to get to 1,000. So if you guys can help me get to 1,000, tell your family and friends to go to launchgood.com/Product Muslim. I'll be really excited that Chris challenged me, so I'm trying to win a challenge here. So you go launch.com/Product Muslim, and then you will sign up for the Ramadan challenge. Again, we're trying to make an impact this Ramadan through this Launch Good campaign. So if you've not signed up, then definitely go sign up. If you did sign up, then please let family and friends go to that website, that link, and sign up. And start giving every day. It's not too late to join. You can still join, and you can go back and complete the days that you missed if you joined later on. Thank you everybody for being part of Ramadan Prep Week. Thank you for attending, and thank you for being a wonderful sort of motivated team. We might have a surprise webinar somewhere in Ramadan. I'll let you guys know about that later on. Check your emails. Jazakumullah khair. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
Wa alaikum salam.